Hey guys, it's Shannon from That DIY Couple, and today I'm going to talk to you about what it's been like to be sugar-free for over a year. I feel amazing. I feel a sense of absolute pure and natural energy when I wake up in the morning. The negative feelings that you feel during detox will pass, and you will feel amazing with time. So no sugar diets are becoming increasingly popular as people become aware of the adverse health effects that sugar has on the body. Over a year ago, I decided to eliminate completely from my diet both sugar and flour. I read a book called Bright Line Eating, which I have a summary of and will link in the description box and up above. But essentially the gist of the book is that sugar and flour act in our body in the same way and cause addictive eating behaviors and cause our insulin to go up and trigger weight gain. Just breaking it down really quickly, weight loss and weight gain is a hormonally driven process governed by insulin. So a calorie is not a calorie, and what you eat affects you differently and will cause different hormonal responses, which will have a larger or less impact on your weight loss or your weight gain. So when you eat sugar, what happens is it's very quickly absorbed by your body. So in the book, there's an analogy about ice shavings on a very hot concrete pavement. Right away, those ice shavings are going to be totally evaporated, and that's what it's like when your body gets a hit of sugar. It's taken up very quickly by your system. It hits your insulin system. Insulin goes up, and it causes your body to start storing stuff as fat. What happens after that is that you're feeling really good. Your body's like, oh, I love that. I want some more of that. And you have like a productive period where you feel good, you feel at peace. It happens, it sort of triggers the exact same neurotransmitters and feel-good dopamine as like a drug response. And then what happens is you crash and you go for more. You want another thing which has sugar in it, another thing which has flour in it. You can look at that video if you want to see the exact breakdown of why those two things are very similar. The molecules are slightly different, but they affect the body in the same way. But what happens when you get it out of your system? Well, the first thing that happens is cravings. So I'm not gonna lie, the first couple weeks are extremely hard. The thing to keep in mind though is that it's not like that forever. It passes. Just like a, shriveling drug addict when they're in detox is like, I want more, I need more, I feel miserable, they feel terrible for a couple weeks while it's getting out of their system. During the first couple of weeks of eliminating sugar from your diet, you're not gonna feel great, because if your body is so used to every couple hours getting a little hit, getting a little bit of sugar, it's gonna be really angry at you for removing that feel-good sensation. And the dopamine receptors in your brain are going to be like craving it and making you feel not well. You might get lightheaded, you might get headaches, and you're going to be irritable. So the most important thing to keep in mind is to be gentle to yourself, be gentle to the people around you. Let the people around you know that this is going to be like a little bit of a detox period for you, and you might be frustrated, you might be grumpy. Try to do it at a time when you're like on vacation or not during a busy, stressful period at work, because if you're anything like me, when you confront stress, you might eat your emotions and you might feel like, okay, this is like I have to eat something to fuel doing this task. So keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that it passes and you will feel good again. Dopamine receptors in your brain will heal, and foods that don't taste sweet enough to you now will eventually taste really good to you. So when you, like a couple weeks later, like you're gonna notice that the sensors on your tongue, the taste receptors, are going to adapt, and things like fresh fruit are going to taste really amazing to you in a way that they might not when you're so loaded up on sugar. The other thing that happens is extreme weight loss. So I've I can't attribute all of the 100 pounds of weight that I have lost in the last couple of years exclusively to eating sugar and flour or eliminating them, but I can attribute at least 50 pounds to that. So I first started off on my health and weight loss journey by eliminating most animal products from my diet and becoming basically a vegan. And at that point, I lost about 50 pounds. But then I plateaued and I started gravitating towards really unhealthy vegan foods and just eating lots and lots of sugar and flour at all times. Like I used to really have this pull to eat like these dumplings that were technically vegan, that were in the food court near where I worked, but they had you know, flour deep fried dumpling, and then they had like a sugary sauce on them, and those were like the sorts of vegan foods that I was eating and hoping were healthy. After I eliminated sugar and flour, I lost very quickly another 50 pounds. And I would say that regardless of your choice to eat, you know, animal products or not, sugar and flour is so fundamental to weight loss, just because of the effect that those things have on your insulin system and on your hormones. So a year later, I am, you know, 100 pounds lighter than where I was about 2 years ago. So I eliminated sugar and flour about a year ago, and about a year before that I eliminated animal products. And I feel amazing. I feel a sense of absolute pure and natural energy when I wake up in the morning. I notice that if I go out to eat and I am served, like for example, the other day I had a butternut squash soup, which tasted really good, and I didn't notice, I think it probably had sugar in it. I noticed that if I have something where they've kind of snuck some sugar in it, I have some really adverse psychological effects, which I was surprised at. So first, I feel great, like the body runs on glucose and my mind feels fantastic. I like get a bunch done. I feel a sense of like amazing energy. But then I crash, and then hours after that, I feel almost like more anxious than I ever have. I'm not an anxious person. I don't suffer from anxiety. But if somehow sugar makes its way into my diet, I start feeling anxious in a way that I don't normally, and I have trouble sleeping and things like that. So it really, once it's out of your system, it really sort of affects you in a different way. And you'll find that if you accidentally or on purpose take a sweet that does have sugar, you'll find that it's like too sweet for you in a way when your taste buds have adjusted to not having it in your system. The other thing that I've learned is that 100% is so much easier than trying moderation. So I'm not talking about reducing sugar in your diet. Reducing sugar in your diet is really hard because you're in this constant dance and this tango of like, oh, should I have one? Okay, I'm just gonna have one piece. And you're really taxing your willpower. It's much, much easier to just be like, the same way that I don't smoke, the same way that I don't do drugs, I don't have any sugar. Like, it's easier for you to pass entirely the tray of cupcakes at work than to just say like, okay, I'm just gonna have a bite of one, or I'm just gonna cut a little bit of that cookie. That's like where you get into the like mental dance of like, did I have too much? Did I have enough? Can I have more? And once your body has one bite, you're gonna want more and more and more. You probably see this with like a bag of chips too. You open up a bag of chips, it's much easier to not have a single one than to have, you know, just a couple, because if you have a couple, you probably want more and more and more. Now this like might vary for you because addictive properties follow along a bell curve, right? So some people are able to have a couple of chips, they're able to have like a single slice of pizza and not go back for more, and other people are going to have a more addictive response and want more. So if you're someone for whom moderation is easy, that's great. Maybe a sugar reduction diet is better for you, and you'll probably see fantastic results and it'll be easier for you. But if you're someone like me who has a hard time eating just one chip or a hard time eating just one slice of pizza, for you, total elimination is going to be way easier than attempting to do the willpower dance of moderation. One point of clarification that I want to be careful to make here is that I didn't eliminate from my diet all fructose or glucose or sucrose. Or maybe I didn't eliminate sucrose. What I eliminated was added refined sugar. So there's a tendency in the health community to demonize carbohydrates in general. That is not what we're talking about here. What I'm talking about is eliminating the super refined powder, like cane sugar, or any type of flour, almond, flax, wheat, brown flour, white flour, 100% whole wheat, any type of molecule that has taken a whole plant food and ground it down into a white refined substance is going to hit your body and your insulin system in a way that causes addictive eating if you're on that scale, someone who might eat addictively, and weight gain. So I'm not talking about cutting out bananas or strawberries or kiwis or rice or quinoa or oatmeal or, any of these any of these whole grains that is a plant food that has not been ground up, processed, and cut down. What I'm talking about cutting out is sugar, and I'm going to include in this category stevia, truvia, sweet and low, aspartame, honey, agave, any of those highly processed things which taste sweet are going to, regardless of whether they have calories or not, if it's an artificial sweetener, it's gonna hit your insulin system in the exact same way as if you were eating real sugar. So we are talking about refined sweeteners and refined flours. The elimination of those two things is going to do so much good for your body, your health, and your weight loss. Another question I often get is whether or not I drink alcohol. So at the beginning, I eliminated sugar and flour exclusively, and I was feeling pretty good, and I would occasionally have a glass of wine. But what I started noticing pretty rapidly thereafter is that because I didn't have a ton of crap in my system, essentially blocking the absorption of that wine, it would hit my body and my insulin system in the same way as sugar and flour, and I would feel like a great sense of excitement and etc., and then I would crash. I don't really have an addictive personality when it comes to wine. People can have different addictive responses to different things. So wine and beer and vodka and hard liquor or whatever, I never had a compulsion to drink more than casually, but I do find that having those things triggers overeating. So I will go out and I would have a glass of wine, and then I would want to stray from my no sugar, no diet, and I would wake up in the morning not feeling good. And I also found that the alcohol in them was being processed a lot quicker by my body, and I was finding that even just a half glass of wine would leave me feeling tipsy and not great. So I eliminated alcohol essentially from my diet. I'll occasionally have a drink, maybe on a New Year's Eve type situation, or I had a glass of wine on my birthday, big night out, but I never feel great the day after, and I feel much better with it out of my system. So if you're someone who is trying to eliminate sugar and flour, see how you feel with alcohol, and you might end up wanting to eliminate that as well. I can talk about, there's other things I've eliminated from my diet. I can talk about those in general, but in general, less is more, you guys. The simpler you can keep your food, the more natural and close to things that grow from the earth, the better. You're gonna feel healthier, and you're gonna feel vibrant, you're gonna feel full of life, and the negative feelings that you feel during detox will pass, and you will feel amazing with time. If you like this video, please hit subscribe, comment down below. Have a great day, guys.